So you've made the decision. You're finally going to leave corporate and launch your fractional practice. But making the mental decision is only 10% of the battle. The other 90% is the actual mechanics of your exit. If you don't set up your infrastructure correctly before you leave, you're going to run into massive legal and financial roadblocks. First, we're going to talk about the B2B mindset shift, why you must stop thinking like an employee and start operating as a vendor. Then I'll give you the exact tactical checklist for setting up your LLC and separating your personal liability from your business. We also need to talk about the elephant in the room, non-competes and IP agreements, and how to navigate them without getting sued by your former employer. And finally, I'll break down the reality of transitioning your benefits so you don't panic when you realize you no longer have corporate healthcare. Let's get into it. When executives ask me, how do I leave corporate? They usually want to talk about the emotional conversation with their boss. But the emotional conversation is actually the easy part. The hard part is the structural transition. When you leave corporate to become a fractional executive, you're not just changing jobs. You're changing your legal and financial entity. You're transitioning from a W-2 employee who is protected by a massive corporate umbrella to a 1099 business owner who is entirely responsible for their own infrastructure. If you try to launch a fractional practice without setting up the right mechanics, you will look amateur to your new clients and you will expose yourself to massive personal risk. Let's break down the 4 structural pillars you must have in place before you hand in your resignation. The first and most important structural change is the B2B mindset shift. For 30 years, you have operated as an employee. When you wanted a new job, you sent a resume. When you got hired, you signed an offer letter. As a fractional executive, you must completely destroy that mindset. You are no longer an employee. You are a vendor. You're a business selling a service to another business. This means you don't send resumes. You send proposals. You don't sign offer letters. You sign master agreements, MSAs, or statement of works, SOWs. You don't ask for a salary. You send a monthly invoice for your retainer. If you walk into a pitch with a founder looking for a job, they will treat you like an employee. They will try to negotiate your hours. They will try to micromanage your time. But if you walk in with a rock-solid MSA and a clear invoice structure, they will treat you like the premium B2B vendor that you are. The second step is the actual legal infrastructure, setting up your LLC. Now, before we go any further, I need to be very clear. I am an executive. I am not a lawyer. I am sharing the business framework that successful fractional executives use, but I am not giving you legal or financial advice. You must consult your own attorney and CPA to set this up correctly for your specific situation. But with that said, let's talk about why this structure is so critical. I see executives leave their corporation, land their first $10K a month fractional client, and then ask the client to write a check to their personal name. That's a massive mistake for 2 reasons. First, it looks incredibly amateur. No serious mid-market CEO wants to write a check for $10,000 to John Smith. They'll want to write it to John Smith Strategic Advisory LLC. Second, and more importantly, operating as a sole proprietor exposes your personal assets to business liability. If a client decides to sue you because they didn't like your strategic advice, they can potentially come after your house and personal savings. Before you leave the corporation, you need to form your LLC, get an EIN, and open a dedicated business bank account. It takes a few hours and a few $100s, but it is absolutely the foundation you need for your new fractional practice. The third step is navigating the legal landmines of your current corporation, the non-competes and IP agreements. When you're a senior executive, you likely have signed a stack of restrictive covenants. Before you launch your fractional practice, you need to pull out your original employment contract and you need to read it line by line. Are you legally barred from working with competitors in your industry for 12 months? If so, your fractional pipeline needs to target a different vertical for the first year. Did you sign an IP agreement that says the corporation owns anything you create while employed? If so, you can't build your fractional operating system on your company laptop during work hours. You must build it on your own personal computer on your own time. Do not try to sneak around these agreements. Corporations have massive legal teams and they will enforce them. Know your boundaries and build your fractional practice safely outside of them. The final structural piece is transitioning your benefits. This is the #1 reason executives say that they stay in toxic corporate jobs. They're terrified of losing their healthcare. But let's do the math. Yes, buying private healthcare for your family on the open market is expensive. It might cost you $2,000 or $3,000 a month. But remember the math of the portfolio career. If you're making $30,000 a month from 3 clients, that $3,000 healthcare premium is just a standard business expense. It is the cost of doing business, and it is more than covered by your massive increase in your high margin income. You also need to set up your own solo 401k or an SEP RIA to replace your corporate match and secure your own personal liability insurance. You need to protect yourself and protect the new LLC. Once you realize that benefits are just a math equation, the fear completely disappears. So when we talk about how to leave a corporation, we're talking about executing a flawless structural transition. It means shifting from an employee mindset to a B2B vendor mindset, trading resumes for MSAs. It means setting up an LLC and a business bank account so you look professional and protect your personal assets. It means carefully navigating your non-competes and IP agreements so you don't trigger a lawsuit from your former employer. And it also means doing the math on your benefits, realizing that the cost of your private healthcare is easily covered by your new fractional income. When you have this infrastructure in place, you don't just leave a corporation, you launch a legitimate, protected business. But here's the catch. Having a perfectly structured LLC and a great MSA means absolutely nothing if you don't have any clients to send them to. You just can't set up a legal infrastructure and wait for founders to knock on your door. You need a system to attract them. If you want to see how to turn this fractional model into a predictable, scalable pipeline of high-quality clients, go watch this video next, the system behind predictable pipeline for fractional executives. In that video, you'll see how to build a cohesive system that brings the right founders to you, so you can put that new LLC to work. Go watch that video next.